Hi everyone, we're back this Halloween with some more character carving pumpkins. Now last year we did Olaf and Doc McStuffins and everyone was raving about our carved pumpkins and wanted to know how we did it. And we did a little video and it was really helpful for those that wanted to know how we did it. So today we have been carving out pumpkins that we got last week from our pumpkin patch. So today we're here to carve some more characters for this Halloween. Now we are doing the infamous Minion, a Sofia the First for those princesses, and this one's already getting prepared, Lighting McQueen, as requested by my son. Of course, all the boys love the Lighting McQueen and made her, so that was on our high request. Now for me, I let the kids dive in with pumpkin seeds and ripping out the guts of the pumpkin and getting all messy, and I like to roast the seeds later for a nice autumn snack. And you can see they have been hollowed out by the children earlier today, and we had a really good fun with that. And now I am preparing them to be carved. My kids are still quite young, so they didn't get to carve them this year, but maybe next year they can get mommy's skills into carving. Now for taking out the guts of your pumpkins, I just put newspaper or like a tablecloth down and let the kids scoop it all out. You can use, I know there's tools that you can buy like pumpkin kits. So they come with a little shovel, which is easy. I like to use my OXO Good Grips food scoop. This is the most amazing thing for pumpkins, and it makes it really easy for the kids to do it, which is, I used it last year as well. Or you can just use a spoon, a big serving spoon would work. And I just let the kids carve it all out and get all those seeds in a bag, and you can wash them later to roast them for a snack. And I let the pumpkins dry, and then I just make sure the lids are all off. And make sure all the stringy bits are all out. I mean, you can get most of the seeds out, but I like the stringy bits gone too, and really make the sides thinner. I take my spoon and carve some of the sides out, so it's a lot thinner surface to carve through. If you leave it solid, it can be a lot of pumpkin to get through when you're carving a face, especially one as delicate as Sofia. So after I've done that and my pumpkins are all clean and dry and empty, I send the children away to play in the living room with Daddy or Granny, whoever you have, and or while they're sleeping. And I go to Google, I pick out a character, and I've just said the ones I've done today, and I print them out for the size of the pumpkin. So this one was quite big on Google, and this pumpkin's quite small. So to fit perfectly in the middle of it, I just put it in Word document and minimized it, so resized it, I mean. And for this one, I blew it up because my pumpkin's quite big. And so I just keep adjusting it and printing them out until they fit my pumpkins perfectly. There are free printables online everywhere. Google Images, Disney has, I think, thousands of different PDF printables, so you can find them online. And what I do is I cut out as close as I can to the picture, so I don't have much paper, and then I tape it to the front. Now when you are taping, it gets a bit tricky because you're going on a round surface. So if you can see really closely here, I have had to fold there, and twice there, making sure the lines still meet and still make a perfect straight line. So when I start poking, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute, you can still keep that perfect shape, but it's around a curve really. You can't put something flat on a curve without bending it a little bit. And I make sure I tape it completely all the way around. Don't just put a little piece of tape here, because if it moves when you're doing your dots later, you're tracing, it was gonna be a nightmare. And so yeah, so let's get taping. I'll try to show you the big one. So I try to pick the best side of the pumpkin where there's no, messy bits or marks already. And I start at the top. So let's see if I can do this upside down. And I get a big piece and I center it where I want it to be centered. And I don't touch any of the gray bits because that's where you're gonna have to poke. And like I said, you gotta really mold it. And I do a bottom piece, a little bit smaller. I'm gonna do this just real quick. And I do the bottom so that it's perfectly aligned. So once you have your top, center, and bottom, it's perfectly aligned with your pumpkin and it's straight, you can start folding in the curves, because it does get a bit tricky. So let's grab some tape. 2 little pieces so you can fold better. And like I said, don't put any on the gray because then you won't be able to poke through. So then I do the middle bits here. Preparation is the key to a perfect carved pumpkin. And now you can see I've done the 2 sides and the top now. Now I need to begin just folding a little bit. So you're going to need a crease there, but to line up. And you're going to need a crease there, but keep it lined. And one right here. And if we can do it, try not to do it on like a detailed part. Try to do it like how I've done on her crown, so it's not as noticeable. If you did it in the waves, it would be really hard to carve. And then I just take the rest of it all the way around. Like I said, don't leave any of it without tape, because if it moves while you're tracing, it's a nightmare to get back to where it should be. All right, so now you have Sofia all prepared to be traced. I did Lighting McQueen earlier, and I'll just really quick do my Minion. Right, and there you have it. We have our Minion, our Sofia, and our Lighting McQueen pumpkins. And now we need to start tracing. And what I mean by tracing is creating an outline using dots along the pictures so that you have something to carve and trace along with your carving knife. Now for me, you can go out and buy those fancy kits, and they always give you one of these really pokey, so you can make dots, sticks. And they're quite easy, and all you do, you would start at the very top and you start tracing along all these dark bits with tiny little dots into your pumpkin, so that later it'll leave just an outline of dots and you can carve it with your knife. If you don't want to buy the pumpkin kits or don't have anything, you can use the tip of a steak knife, just be really careful, or actually, so I don't cut myself, because I cut myself with a knife, I use a thermometer. It's got a really fine sharp point, it's really long and easy, and I can get tracing as fast as possible to carve my pumpkins. So I'll start with the Minion, and I'll do a few so you can see. So I would just start here at the very top, and I'd keep them really close and just going in just enough to break the skin of the pumpkin all the way down. It doesn't take long. You can see I can go quite quickly, and I have to push quite hard where the fold is, but just keep going all the way around each dark bit, and I like to do a corner so I know when to turn. And if you're really good at tracing and really artistic, you wouldn't have to do so many. I'm not so good, so I have to make them really close together so I can have a pattern to follow when I'm done. And I'll just get the top of the Minion done, and I'll show you the tracing up close. As you can see, I've just made dots all the way along the dark outline so that it pokes right into the pumpkin skin, and when I remove this after I'm all done tracing, I will have a nice pattern of a Minion to follow with my carving knife. So I'll just finish tracing all 3 patterns, and I'll remove the pattern, and I'll show you the faces on the actual pumpkin before we start carving. So let's get poking. Okay, so now I have made all my dots and traces through all 3 of my pumpkins. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna peel that picture right off with the tape. Now I like to try not to rip it so that I can have it next to me just in case I need to refer to a little detail, because sometimes like Lighting McQueen's eyes are gonna be a bit tough. So try not to rip it off too much to where it ripped, because I just ripped it right there. And I just take them all off. And as you can see, you can still see Lighting McQueen's face on your pumpkin. And Sofia's face. And the Minion. Everybody loves Minions. So my daughter's favorite, so she gets her Minion. And I'll just show you up close. That you can see the entire picture in dots. And now you're just going to use your tool, whichever you prefer. I use a steak knife sometimes. You can buy little carving knives, and I will trace out each one of these chunks individually. So I have something to follow along, and I will show you. It's going to be a bit harder. This one's a bit darker. You can see little dots of Sofia's hair. So that's a bit harder because that's a really dark pumpkin. And this one, you can see Lighting McQueen. All the dots. So now it's time to get my trusty little saw and start carving.